Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Last week we talked about the Color Purple remake musical. Taraji P. Henson has been putting up a brave front about her time in Hollywood, but last week the mask cracked. We'll get to her and her buyer's remorse in a minute, but I want to say a final word about Jonathan Majors, at least what I expect will be a final word until sentencing. Ezra Miller got himself caught on video assaulting a woman. He was arrested in Hawaii and charged with assaulting another woman, putting a half-inch cut on the woman's forehead, by the way, numerous other things. The studio stood by him as if he hadn't done anything wrong. They didn't care about any of his scandals. They did, however, cut other superhero movies from their release slate just so they could put out his Flash movie. And for the record, I haven't seen the Flash movie, and judging by the box office receipts for it, nobody else did either. The movie was apparently so bad that even Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, and a cameo by Gal Gadot couldn't save it. Alec Baldwin killed a woman, and he's back making movies, and none of the studios are saying, oh, you're radioactive, we can't deal with you, your career is over. But there's no double standard, we're told. The people who are so angry about Jonathan Majors because they care so much about how women are treated, they didn't have anything to say about Ezra Miller or Alec Baldwin, both of whom have long-standing scandals involving their treatment of females. The same people who are defending Johnny Depp, on the other hand, they've been nowhere to be seen during this Majors fiasco, and a number of them have been celebrating Majors' fall from grace. To them, it's reassuring. It's the status quo being restored. Because for a little while there, especially since 2017, it seemed that if you accused a white man in Hollywood of something, at least there might have been something resembling consequences, at least for a few of them. But of course, they wanted to make sure that they got the dirty end of that stick pointed at black people, preferably black men, as quickly as possible. And for these people, looking at Jonathan Majors being convicted, his career being torn to shreds, they're looking and going, that's right, that's what should be happening now, things are getting back to normal. And the reason that I make this remark happens to be because there were a lot of black people, particularly some black men, I think, who were wondering why it was that the same people who were defending Johnny Depp and speaking up for him and going to the mat for him weren't saying anything about Jonathan Majors. It's because their support only goes one way, and it's based on the color of the Hollywood celebrity being talked about. And that brings us to Taraji P. Henson.
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. You get tired. Mm-hmm. I hear people go, you work a lot. Yeah. I'll have to. The math ain't mathing. Where's my raise? I haven't seen a raise in my income since Proud Mary. And almost had to walk away from Color Purple.
Now, did you hear what she said? She almost had to walk away from The Color Purple. Oh, how very interesting. And when she was crying on Sirius, she made sure to do that in front of the director of the movie, a not-so-subtle way to put pressure on him. And she did it pretty skillfully. I have to give her some credit for that. She didn't rage or show angry indignation, nothing that the white media could actually turn against her. Instead, she played the part of the long-suffering martyr who is simply tired. She went ahead and called these guys out, but she did it in a way where the usual, oh, she's so entitled, that talking point couldn't be used against her. So I think it's only fair to give her credit for that. Whether or not this is going to result in her having any long-term benefits remains to be seen. But I think it needs to be said that Oprah Winfrey was in the original Color Purple, and she's listed as a producer on this remake too, along with Steven Spielberg. Frankly, I'm surprised that Lee Daniels wasn't involved. Maybe he was too busy getting in some quality time with Billy Porter. After Henson's display of sadness over her pay disparity, there were rumors that Henson and Oprah were feuding. Considering that Oprah was allegedly involved with the casting of the movie, and since she's a producer on it, Henson shouldn't have had any problems to begin with. It would be perfectly understandable if Henson was unhappy with Oprah, but reports are that they're getting along just fine. Apparently, they're making nice. No problems here, folks. Nothing to see here. In fact, Taraji Henson was on Instagram talking about how much she loves Oprah, and the Black Girl Magic routine was in full swing. At the same time that she was boo-hooing about the pay she wasn't getting last week, Henson wrote on Instagram that, quote, "It is so important for black women and all women of color to support each other. It is also imperative to have women of color in decision-making positions across all industries." She ended her gushing love letter to Oprah by writing, "It took one call, all caps, one conversation, all caps, and one decision-making black woman, all caps, to make me feel heard. Now, of course, we got to talk about the fact that she instantly on a dime turned from saying black women to saying all women of color. Gee, who does that sound like? It sounds like the Democrats now, doesn't it? And the Republicans, too. Whenever they claim that they're talking about something regarding black people, they always say black one time. Though not always. Sometimes they don't even say it once. But they make sure to say minorities, people of color, the disenfranchised, etc. So I guess Taraji Henson thinks that she's going to position herself as being a champion for all women of color. Why she wouldn't limit it to black women doesn't make much sense. But that's okay. Out there in Hollywood, they want to be as inoffensive as possible. But if she thought that Oprah Winfrey made her feel heard, that's probably because she was talking to herself. First of all, as a producer on the movie, Oprah Winfrey most likely had the most to do with Henson not getting paid what she felt she should have been. And this insistence by certain people to say that black women's concerns are different and separate from black men, this is white media propaganda. I would have some sympathy for Henson if she wasn't going whole hog for that sisterhood routine. She's not being paid chicken feed because she's a woman. She's being paid peanuts because she's black. This gender warring crap has to stop. The people who push that garbage about black women have it worse than black men, these are usually the black feminists, and all they want is to prove to the white media that they should be given a job. And they know what the white powers that be want to see, someone attacking the black community, splintering us. It's the old golden blackjack that never misses. Nonetheless, I don't like seeing black people getting jerked around regardless. So I do see her point. My problem is she's putting Oprah on a pedestal, and there's no cause for that. What I'd like to know is, what black woman has Oprah Winfrey ever helped, other than her pal Gayle King? Oprah hangs out with the very white media moguls who hold people like Taraji Henson down. The very white media executives and studio heads who Taraji Henson has to bow and scrape for, and they force her to negotiate as if she's some newbie who just walked in the door no matter how many movies she's done. These are the exact same people whose private yachts Oprah Winfrey likes to hang out on, and she toes the line for them and pushes their talking points hard as she can. It's a shame that Taraji Henson either doesn't know or doesn't care about that fact. It's also a shame that at this late date that there's still black people who are willing to be part of projects with Oprah Winfrey's name on it when her reputation for backstabbing and doing dirt is long storied and putrid. Now, I don't know whether or not Oprah Winfrey was able to get Taraji Henson any extra money for The Color Purple. Far as I'm concerned, they're putting up a united front, and I guess that makes sense. Most black actresses never become big stars, and Henson knows that she could be next. She's older now, and it may not be long before the only roles that she gets offered by these white studios are the granny roles or the angry older woman supporting roles, or maybe the phone just stops ringing altogether. It's often been said among black people who follow the white media and examine it that Tinseltown requires its big stars to take part in some sort of humiliation ritual. We in Black Empowerment call this what it actually is, a breaking process. In the case of Taraji, the humiliation ritual took place every time she negotiated the pay for her next project. See, when they violate someone, it doesn't have to be something that plays out in front of the cameras. As we all know, in Hollywood, the worst humiliations they carry out are often behind the scenes and done in ways and in places where nobody actually sees it. Jonathan Majors is currently enduring the ultimate humiliation ritual, and while Henson's troubles are nothing compared to his, she too is also being treated with disrespect. Both of them are being subjected to it for the same reason. As unfortunate as these incidents are, they're not new, and sadly they won't be the last. Negroes who go to LA to find their fame and fortune have been so busy playing the game, they never bother to learn what the rules truly are. But even if they did, it wouldn't help them. This isn't a game that they were meant to win. Like some demented screenplay, the white media has already written out how these black performers' stories are going to end, and the endings are never happy. And no matter how much they rage, protest, or cry, the fact of the matter is, none of the Negroes who work in Hollywood have the power to, flip the script. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Sherman Marshall, Frederick Richburg, Semesta Hobson, Tyquin Campbell, and Tyrone Leake. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.